It's weather season, it is getting cold, and I am thriving. Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Mariana and you're watching Lucifer's Library. Buckle up everybody, we're going on an adventure today. It is a little bit colder outside, which is why I'm drinking my black tea with milk. So, you know, grab a hot beverage, sit down. Basically what today's video is going to be about, between us friends, is I'm going to just recommend you some books that will get you out of a reading slump. It is not 100% foolproof because everybody's reading taste is different, but these are the books that I personally would suggest you pick up. Before we dive in, I just want to give some honorable mentions. So this is the stack of honorable mentions. Let's go through them. First up, we have Kiss the Fate by Natalia Jaster. This is in honorable mentions just because the writing is very, very particular, very detailed, descriptive. Overall, the story is very interesting. Second honorable mention is Star-Crossed by Josephine Angelini. The reason why this is only an honorable mention is because it is a little bit outdated, but it reads super fast. If you like spins on Greek myths and legends, this is the perfect book for you. It's actually a trilogy. The first book is Star-Crossed, obviously. Overall plot is very entertaining, but I don't know how else to explain it. It's not a book that is for everybody, but I read it so fast. I also have a few tabs, and it's one of my favorite trilogies, but not everybody will love it because it's like a 2010s kind of writing. It's not like Ashes by Sarah Rush. The reason why this is only an honorable mention is because I haven't read the whole trilogy yet, or is it the series? I've thoroughly enjoyed this book. This was one of my first 5-star reads, so if you like YA fantasy mixed with magic. Also, we have the Lux series, which is again an honorable mention, but it's not for everybody. If you enjoy fast-paced, I would call it a guilty pleasure kind of reads where you're just down to have a good time with aliens and just, you know, angst and teenage romance, this is a perfect series for you. I really enjoyed these when I was a teenager. And the last honorable mention for today, we have The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. The only reason why this isn't on the full list is because this isn't necessarily a romance, at least not in the first book. It gets better later, but the first book is very slow. I still wanted to mention it just because this list would feel kind of meh without this book. This book is a drag, but the second and third book I've enjoyed and they got me out of a reading slump. Alright, let's get into it, shall we? I'm so excited to talk about some of these books. They have gotten me out of a reading slump and they're really good. And I just want to share, even if you're not in a reading slump, just pick these up if you can. But again, the disclaimer, these books will not be for everybody, but I still thought that I should share them. Let's just start with the first one, which is a buddy read that I read with Esme this year, and it is The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen. This is such a fast-paced book. It is so good. Each chapter kind of ends on a cliffhanger so that you have to continue reading. I would also say the second book wasn't my favorite, so just a heads up, but this book on its own was a delight. It follows our main character named Lara, who gets married to the king of the opposing kingdom, their enemy kingdom. She isn't just a normal princess, however. She is a trained spy and assassin, and she is there sent to infiltrate the kingdom and bring it to its knees. But her new husband is a delight, eye candy, and they click. So enemies to lovers, high stakes, really, really good. Moving on to dystopian books, obviously The Hunger Games is one of my big recommendations. I always give it to everybody. Just read The Hunger Games. Read it, read it, read it. I love The Hunger Games, so it has to be on here. It is written by Suzanne Collins, and it follows our main character Katniss, who gets sent into the Hunger Games instead of her sister because she volunteered to step in and save her. And it is about survival, it is about politics, it is about staying alive when everybody wants to kind of break you down and make a message out of you. Moving on to sci-fi, we have Binti by Nnedi Okorafor. Now, I love Nnedi Okorafor's writing, and I love this story so much, especially the second book, Home. Oh my goodness, I really, really love that story. Binti is basically the story of a girl who gets sent to University, the first of her people, and there she is found with a new set of responsibilities. She finds a new role and be a peacemaker while also learning about herself and learning about her culture, and I just love it so much. I can't even describe it, but yeah, the first book is basically about her journey to University. Another science fiction book is The Martian, and I completely forgot the author, but I really, really love this book. I love the main character's humor. This book follows Mark, who is left on Mars by his group when, you know, they thought he was dead after getting caught in a huge Martian storm, and they leave. He is stuck on Mars. He has to survive. He has to make food. He has to learn how to grow things because the food that he has there is not enough to survive. Plus, there's a lot of things that go wrong on this journey. Just when you think things will finally calm down, something happens and he just cannot seem to catch a break. So The Martian is very funny. It is very humorous. I love Andy Weir's writing. I remember the author now. I love this story, and yeah, it brings a smile to my face. I really loved it. I didn't think I would enjoy it as much, but then I watched the movie. Or did I watch the movie first? Anyway, really enjoyed it. I think the last science fiction book that we have today is actually a series called Ice Planet Barbarians. And it is written by Ruby Dixon. Some of the books are hits, some of the books are misses, but they're all super fun to read, very entertaining and short. So you can just read them like this, go through them. And it is the one book series that I am really happy to TikTok for promoting it, because it's so fun, and each book follows a different character and a different love interest. So it is heavily adult, so it is 18+ romance. If you're looking for a non-fiction book, the #1 book that I will recommend to you is Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green. Anthropocene Reviewed is such a refreshing read. I swore off John Green's books last year, and I swore off them forever, but I needed to pick something up that was non-fiction, and I was intrigued. I didn't know what it was about. Anthropocene Reviewed is about the little moments in life, and John Green describing them as he goes through them and then slowly rates them. And it's a book full of despair but hope and all these stories, and I don't even know how to explain them, but it feels magical. It feels like this is the reminder that you need to appreciate little things, to appreciate your life. I really love this book, and it is probably one of my favorite books of this year. And if I have to tell you that a non-fiction book is my favorite book of this year, you probably know how my life is going or how my reading is going. But yeah, it's a really good book, and I don't think I've ever read a non-fiction book better than this one. Alright, let's talk about paranormal books. I only have one book here, and I also own it, but it is currently in my friend's possession because I really want her to read it, and it's called In 27 Days. I talked about this book often. It is I think my #1 favorite book of last year, and it's about this girl whose classmate unalives himself, and basically she makes a deal with death and goes back in time from the moment that he decided he was gonna go through it to the moment he did, and she has basically 27 days to change his mind. It is very impactful, and I love this book. At the time when I was reading it, I just really needed it. Alright, moving on to the one book I read recently, and it's called The Carrow Hunt by Darcy Coates. Now, I'm not a big fan of horror, but this was like watching a horror movie where there's a group of people who go into a haunted house to explore, you know, everything and find out the existence of ghosts and have a seance and contact them. And things go downhill really fast. It's my favorite horror book that I read, and now I want to read more. I don't read horror books often enough, mainly because when the killer is a human, I'm not interested. I prefer my horror paranormal. If you like ghosts and evil specters and stuff, this is a good book to read. If we're talking about historical fiction, I would recommend The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Again, one of my favorite books of last year. I would highly recommend this book. It has bits of articles inside and it's so immersive. But I don't know if I can... Basically, it follows the story of Hollywood star. We have 4 contemporary books. Contemporary romance that I wanted to share with you. If you are looking for specific contemporary romance smutty recommendations, I could make a separate video on the books that I do recommend, but these are just very safe, very fun books to read. And I will, I guess, start with the first one, which is Textrovert by Lindsay Summers. I don't think a lot of people know about this book, especially not on booktube. I just want to say that this is a Wattpad book, and it started as a Wattpad book, and it is one of the first books that I read on Wattpad, and I absolutely adore it still. I read it like 2 or 3 times in physical copy and 2 times on Wattpad, and I still love it as much as I did. And this copy is actually very short, 234 pages. Then I want to mention Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. This is one of my favorite books, contemporary books, and also movies of all time. Whenever I look at this cover, it just brings me joy. Look how beautiful it is. I'm eagerly waiting for movie number 2 because I want to get the second book in the movie edition. But yeah, it's about Rachel Chu, who accompanies her boyfriend to a wedding and meets his family for the first time after they basically, I don't think they knew about her at all. So it was just very surprising, and her boyfriend, turns out, has been hiding a secret from her. His family is really crazy, insanely rich. It's a completely different world that Rachel was not prepared for, and she has to adjust. And yeah, I love this. Let's move on. We have Second Chance Summer by Morgan Matson. This is YA contemporary. This is very YA, and I want to say that it is about our main character whose dad gets diagnosed with a terminal illness. It's about their family going to this cabin, lakeside cabin, and having their last summer together. But our main character, I forgot what her name was, she avoided this cabin because she had a falling out with her friends, and she's been avoiding coming here for 5 years. So she has a lot of stuff to face while also spending time with her family and coming to terms with the fact that her life will change forever. Really love this book. Haven't read it in a long time, but Morgan Matson, her books just make me feel like summer is so precious, and every year you need to make the most out of it. And we've come to the end, and leaving the best for last, I have The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. Listen, with this list, I try to talk about as many different books and genres as possible so that it's not one of those generic lists. Usually when people make some videos or recommendation videos, they talk about the same books over and over, and I try to avoid that. Although all of the books that I talked about today, I think I gushed over prolonged periods of time on my channel. So if you've been a subscriber, you probably heard me talk about them often. But The Love Hypothesis is one of, again, my favorite books of the year, and it was only beat by Anthropocene Reviewed, but definitely one of my favorite books, just because it's so fun, and it's about this girl who fake dates a professor at a university. He's not her professor, but he's just someone who basically is there. It is such a fun story that I would definitely recommend for you to check out. But overall, I would recommend for you to check out all of these books. If you want specific contemporary books or smutty books, 18+ books recommendations, please let me know, because I have a few thoughts that I would love to share. But these are some of the books that I've wanted to kind of include and make as brief of a video as possible, even though it's not. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe if you haven't yet. I shall see you next time.